I tested 5 of the most popular cloud storage services, and one of them stood out way more than I expected. And honestly, the one I ended up choosing wasn't the one I thought it would be. Because when it comes to cloud storage, most people just go with whatever's popular. Google Drive, Dropbox, and never really question it. But after testing them properly, there are some big differences that most people completely miss. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 I tested, what each one does well, and which one I actually recommend. And quickly, if you want to check out the one that came out on top, I've left a link in the description below where you can get up to 60% off. But let's go through them first. So starting with Google Drive. This is what most people use, and to be fair, it works. It's simple, everything integrates with Google Docs and Gmail, and it's easy to get started. But once you actually rely on it, the downsides become pretty obvious. Storage fills up quickly, especially with photos and videos, and once that happens, you're locked into the monthly payments just to keep your files there. And over time, you realize you're not really using it because it's the best, you're using it because it's already there. Next is Dropbox. This one is solid in terms of syncing, it's reliable, it works, no major issues, but that's kind of where it stops. There's nothing really that stands out about it anymore. And from what you're paying, it can feel pretty expensive compared to the other options. It does the job, but it doesn't really give you a reason to choose it. Then there's OneDrive. Now this makes sense if you're already deep in Microsoft's ecosystem. And if you're using Windows and Office every day, it fits in nicely. But outside of that, it's pretty average. It's not bad, but it's not something you'll go out your way to use either. And it just kind of exists in the background without really offering anything different. Now, I also tested IceDrive, and at first, it does stand out, mainly because of how it looks. The interface is clean, it's modern, and it feels more up to date than something like Dropbox or OneDrive. But once you actually start using it more, that's kind of where the advantage stops. It doesn't really offer anything specifically in terms of core functionality, it's still just cloud storage at the end of the day. And more importantly, it's a much newer platform. So when you're thinking long term, especially with something like your files, that's a bit of a question mark. It's not that it's bad, it's just not as proven. And with something like cloud storage, reliability over time matters more than a nice looking interface. And that brings me to the next one, the one that I ended up choosing, pCloud. And the reason it stood out isn't just one thing, it's a combination of everything. First, the pricing model. Instead of paying monthly forever, you can pay once and get lifetime storage. No subscriptions, no renewals, just one payment and you're done. And when you compare that to what you spend on something like Google Drive over a few years, the difference is pretty big. But it's not just about price. In terms of performance, it does everything you'd expect. File syncing across all devices, automatic backups, access from anywhere, and it works smoothly. Once it's set up, it just runs in the background. And that's something I've really noticed when testing. With some of the others, you're more aware of the system. With pCloud, you kind of forget it's even there, and that's a good thing. It also strikes a nice balance between simplicity and features. It's easy to use, but still has things like optional encryption if you want extra privacy, so you're not sacrificing functionality to save money. Now, to be clear, each of these options has its place. If you rely heavily on Google Docs, Google Drive still makes sense. If you want the most modern interface, IceDrive is a strong option. But if you're looking for the best overall cloud storage, something that's reliable, easy to use, and makes sense long term, pCloud is one that stood out the most to me. And that's the one I ended up sticking with. If you want to check it out, I've left a link in the description where you can get up to 60% off the lifetime deal. And even if you don't go with it, I'd recommend comparing the long-term cost, because that's where the difference really becomes obvious.